Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from our space. Going over my history. I've been posting here for a while, so I thought I'd just add what happened to me so that there's some context to what I wrote. Bear with me, it's been a while since I lived it, and I've chugged a bunch of caffeine because my 2-year-old was up all night with a pretty wicked cold. First ex was a compulsive liar who, after we had been together approximately 2 years, posted wedding photos of her and a dude she met after me. That one was fun. Oddly enough, that one didn't hurt. Plus me was no lingering anything other than a sense of humor because, come on. The one that hurts was my ex after her. We met online, got on real well, and I moved 1,500 miles from home to be with her. My stuff was fresh off the truck when I was with her on her bed, and we were spooning while watching the TV. She was texting, and I looked at it. She was texting the affair partner. He couldn't wait to introduce her to his parents, and she couldn't wait for it either. Strange thing to do and say when I'm right there, but okay. When I went to leave to go back to my apartment, I told her what I saw. She blew up, yelling, shouting, all this nonsense about how dare I do such a thing, blah, blah, blah. I go home, don't sleep, go to her parents' house first thing in the morning, where we talk. She's still being a complete and utter piece of trash, so her dad takes her to another room for a few minutes. When she comes out, it's all tears, apologies, 1,000 hollow words. She swore to me that she cut him off. She wouldn't see him, all this nonsense. The fun bit? They were classmates in a nursing program, so they spent all day together. I couldn't verify what they were and weren't doing. Note, this is why you'll see so many posts about them learning to be better at hiding it. She did. She hid it well. A little while after it, she told me that at school he tried to kiss her and that she rebuffed his advances. Okay, you were supposed to not be near him. Whatever. Then the anger from her started to get really wild. Another classmate from school wanted to fight her. Turns out the affair partner and this classmate got it on and was jealous of my ex. And she was furious that I wasn't doing anything about it. This is the first I was hearing about it. I have no idea who this lady is, and her school was about an hour away from where we lived. It got worse and worse and worse. Also, she got really scared about getting pregnant. Carried a bunch of pregnancy tests for her, sat me down a lot to tell me she might be pregnant. She had me drop her off at Planned Parenthood once for a checkup that took a few hours since she had no insurance and apparently they're good for that. Can't verify that it was on the up and up, but I remember getting angry because I've never waited that long for a doctor's appointment. Another fun bit was that she got placed at the retirement home a little drive from us, so she, obviously, had to stay at her brother's house once a week. Don't think she was doing that. Her brother lived one city over from the affair partner. Gonna add, the affair partner looks eerily like me. He looks the way I'd look if I had never started lifting. That's a fun thing to think about. That she clearly has a type and still managed to affair down. Then November hit. She asked me to go on a drive and she told me she was thinking of dropping out of school. The one she met the affair partner at. I don't know with 100% certainty what the case was, but I do believe that he gave her an ultimatum between us and that's why she left. Fine by me, I thought. I didn't know that she was obviously still seeing him. She was going to return to the school I was attending. We'd see each other more often. Cool beans. Then time moves on, and I honestly can't really remember anything suspicious going on. However, if you've made it this far, you've seen clearly I'm too trusting. She again dropped out of school, this time to work. Maybe something happened. Her behavior throughout this whole period got markedly worse. She was drinking often. Maybe guilt from the affair. Maybe she started a new one. I have absolutely no idea. We finally moved back to my hometown. I'm pretty confident that she reaches out to her affair partner again this time. Oh, I just remembered that she flew back to her hometown for a few days at this point to visit her sister for her birthday. Oh my god, the Lovio, you stupid son of a gun. Okay, so now something makes a little more sense. Her behavior leading up to the trip and afterwards derails. Lots of hostilities, lots of screaming, telling me that she's faking in bed and or thinking of other guys. And after years of this, I'm beat down. I had zero self-esteem. She drained me of my life, my soul, my everything. She tells me she's going back. Stupid me decides to join her. And then it gets worse. She gets a job working with her brother at a company just outside of town. I'm very confident that she's meeting the affair partner or someone else at this time. For me, the tipping point was that she wasn't answering her phone one night, coming home several hours after her shift at work because allegedly the custodial staff didn't show up. Right. Okay. At this point, I'm getting hit, screamed at for any slight, real or imagined. She's telling me that our kids aren't going to be raised knowing anything of my culture. That is an immigrant. Trying to make me sleep on the sofa. Dead bedroom for about 6 months at this point. Finding mysterious stains in my car. And then she pulls this? This is when it really clicks that I don't need to be treated like this. I finally decide to grow a spine and tell her I'm done. It was a week after Valentine's Day that I left. I believe. Had my brother fly up to help me drive down. Lots of messages from her oscillating from, "Please come back, I'll do anything," to just venom. I didn't do no contact, so I got to hear about her bringing men to the apartment we shared and nailing her to the bed we used to sleep on. Then, for meeting a guy and how she was in love with him. This was maybe 2 months after I left. Then I remember playing Civ 5 and get a text message. It was her. She had just turned 8 weeks pregnant. Oh, dang. 8 weeks before that was my birthday. Whatever, we weren't together anymore. She wanted me to hear it from her before she posted it on social media. Neato. I only found out who the dad was like 2 months after. It was the affair partner. No idea about the guy she was apparently in love with, but rip to him because her declarations of love and then getting knocked up by the affair partner were incredibly close together. Her and the affair partner are still together. Married. They have 2 kids together. She's in the town. She would cry to me over her fear of being stuck there forever. I remember she was once crying about how she was afraid that when I went back to my parents' house, that I would revert back to who I used to be. Which is really a funny statement because I'm still someone who has never cheated, and I grew so much after I cut her out of my life. Honestly, it's pretty remarkable how much better my life became after she was no longer in it. After a few years, lots of exciting and new experiences, I met my wife. Glorious woman. Stunning. A heart of gold. A remarkable wife, and a few years ago, she became a wonderful mother. Had I stayed, I never would have met my wife, had my kids, started this company that gives me a lot of freedom, and we're closing on our new house next week. My ex hated the idea of me doing anything or displaying ambition. My wife cheers me on continuously. I remember the joy in my ex's voice when she said how happy she was that I gave up on my dream of going to law school. My wife encouraged me to go and cheered me on every step of the way until I dropped out because it turns out I really hated it. My ex hated the idea of leading the country. My wife and I honeymooned outside the US and cruised a lot. I won. Don't know if there's a polite way to say it, but I really did. My life is so much better than it was then that it's incredible to think about how far I've come. I made so many great new memories, met great new people, and my life really has turned around in ways I never thought possible. To wrap this up, I suppose things aren't all too great for them because my ex, since she reached out a year ago, to, I guess, try and make amends with me, apologizing for all the things she said and did, and to tell me that there's a place in her heart for me because I was her first love. Oh well, sucks to suck, am I right? Our first reaction comes from Suspicious Weekend 284. Block her and move forward. Stop analyzing. Stop looking into the past. Stop revisiting, etc. Focus on the now. Focus on your own mental health and well-being. Another comment from Accomplished Ferret 70. That woofio. It does indeed suck to suck. If you had posted your story when you were still with your crazy cheating ex, asking us whether we thought she was cheating, how you could convince her to pick you, and what you could do to somehow convince yourself that you could work things out, folks here would have been beating up on you pretty hard, and I would have thought to myself that you needed to hear it. But I am very glad to hear your story now. You really should be proud of yourself. Well played, my friend. You won the long game. Congratulations and best wishes. Moving on. Wife is upset I don't trust her, is having second thoughts about the baby. My 27 male wife, Amy, 30 female, had an infidelity episode. We had been together for almost 7 years, I believe. Since college, we got married a year or so after. It's a long and frankly tiring story to repeat, but I'm aware my behavior needs context. To start, she lost weight. In her words, felt attractive for the first time in her life. She has always been pretty, but was mostly into the whole body positivity movement, till we started losing weight due to a medical concern. She and her friends started showing themselves online to strangers behind my back, and my wife got addicted to the attention. When her friend tried to get her to calm it down, as she started going too far, doing private cams, sexting, and accepting money from folks for private streams, she apparently didn't listen. I knew something was up with the lying, secrecy, gaslighting, and all that, but the final straw was overhearing a convo between Mimi, 30 female, and Amy, where Mimi told her she was taking things too far and that she was going over the line, but I wasn't sure how or what it was about. And Mimi threatened to tell me herself if Amy didn't talk to me. I never thought at the time, but looking back, someone else would have considered this a sign that Amy was cheating on me with Mimi. I mean, they kind of were. But given her sexual history with Mimi, that was neither a question or an alarm. I confronted Mimi while Amy was at work, telling her she and Amy can come get her stuff, and Mimi spilled the beans, and told me the fight was because Mimi, who was an OF, warned Amy not to talk to people privately, do private cams, or any of that. And she found Amy doing that behind her back, and a particular fan was getting very insistent and offered Amy a huge chunk of money to do more. He had sent the money. Amy told Mimi that she had no intention of cheating, though she basically already was, and that she would just keep the guy's money, something like $5,000, as it was sent to her PayPal as a gift, and she never agreed to it. But she had been camming for the guy and sexting with him. To wrap up the recap, I was furious, confronted my wife, heard her side of the story, because we are definitely not hurting for money by even the most liberal stretch of the imagination. Found out from her that it had nothing to do with the sexual gratification or wanting to duck other guys, which she claimed she didn't, or me or my performance as a lover or a partner. She had got addicted to the attention, to gratification, the fact that these people desired her enough to pay to see it, and all that. I took my leave of the house for about 4 months, left the state. Everyone went to therapy. We ended up deciding to reconcile, and it was a long process to get back to anything close to me not being randomly feeling betrayed, angry, and disgusted. I will go on record saying Mimi and Amy's sister, Sissy, are both thin and attractive, but in my opinion, neither are as attractive as my wife, at least not to me. My wife is very pretty, just was a bigger girl. Since I've always encouraged her, shared my love for her, and never disparaged her weight, I was blindsided by her body issues, as she was always aggressively pro-big girls before this. And frankly, as a sexual being, I prefer my ladies to have some meat on their bones. My wife checked all my buttons, so I wasn't sure at first where all this self-loathing was coming from. Spent a lot of time angry and blaming myself before finding out the truth. She hid it from me because she didn't want to be one of those depressing fat girls, and thought apparently if she didn't say anything, I would just keeping on, and not move on to anyone better. I asked the fact that I loved her, married her, moved halfway across the country away from all my friends and family, bought her a huge house, and worked tirelessly to make her happy wasn't enough to show that I loved her. She told me that loving her and being attracted to her are two different things. Frankly, it is a nightmare dealing with my own hate and sense of betrayal and wanting to help my wife through this mental weight that has had her down her entire life, it seems. It's not easy, but I've been managing. Through therapy, honesty, and finding out some truths, I've come to terms with a lot of my wife's insecurities. None of it excuses her behavior, but I'll give some highlights. She was bullied by her thin sister most of her life for being big. After being overweight, killed their mother. I didn't know her stepmother was not their real mother till now. She had always been sore that I had liked her sister before we got together, and thought I settled for her, and thought that all my support, love, and encouragement was just what I had to do because I was stuck with the consolation prize. There are some more, but basically, she spent the entire relationship feeling like a charity case or something. But that out of the way, current situation. Amy is pregnant. Before you asked, yes, got a paternity test as soon as it was viable. Things have been going well between us after a really rough time. Intimacy was hard for me. Even returning to my home took me time. Sleeping in the same room was a no-go for almost a year, but I feel like we've turned a corner. I'm not as certain that I'm an idiot waiting for my wife to betray me again. The problem was that things were going well and Amy's worked hard and is doing all the right things, and has for quite some time. Now she's pregnant and emotional and seemed to be very happy, though fussy about a lot of stuff. Randomly, she sat down while I was working and apologized again. She's been apologizing for a while like this, so I didn't think anything of it. She starts crying and says she almost ruined us, and that she wants to be a good mom and a better wife. She laments her actions and talks to me some more about her fears coming up. The fact that the videos she put online could come back to bite her at any time and may make her life miserable at any moment. She talks about how stupid she was and how sorry she was, and how she's so happy that she was given another chance. How she knows she doesn't deserve it, for me, but that she is happy that I found it in my heart to not abandon her. I hugged her, and all was good. For about a few seconds. She then says something that irked me. She said she was happy that I trusted her enough to try. I stopped, because it was the first thing she said that felt wrong. It must have shown in my face. So she asked me what. I shrugged and told her thank you, and said it's going to be difficult for everyone, but I've made the decision to try and make it work, because I love her. She picks up on the evasive answer and asked me again what the problem was. I looked at her and told her that trust takes time. I then told her that once you break something, no matter how much you care to put it into gluing it back together, it will never be whole again. it will never be what it was. You lose flakes, little dust particles, pieces that make it what it was. And when you sit it down, even if you got it looking exactly like it should, you're careful because you know it can break easier the next time. Amy asks if that means she's never going to live down what she did. I told her I didn't know, that I hoped so, but that's all I had, was hope. She asked if that meant I would never trust her again. I told her I don't know. Trust takes time. Right now, I have hope that things will be better. But as far as faith and trust, I simply can't have faith and I don't completely trust anyone anymore. I told her that statistically speaking, it was far more likely that she'd cheat on me or betray me than that everything is good from now on. Most people who commit infidelities are repeat offenders, and most people who reconcile find out later that their spouse just got better at hiding their illicit activities. She found a reason once to lie to me, to betray me, to gaslight me, to put our entire relationship at risk, and it wasn't hard to find some justification. I told her the mind is an amazing tool and that people can justify a lot of things. I hope you make it and everything will be okay. I love her and have chosen to take the risk, but I'm not in a position to offer my trust, and I'm just not the kind of person who has strong faith in things I can't quantify. All the data is telling me I'm a moron, and that having a child with her is probably a mistake I will end up sorely regretting. Forgiving a cheater seems to be, but I love her, and she seems sincere, so I'm betting against the odds. I hope the trust returns, but it takes time. In the meantime, she has all my hopes. She did not take this well, at all. In fact, she started to ugly cry. I didn't know what to say to her, so I just held her. She then asked if I don't trust her. Then, am I ever happy about the baby? I told her yes. Regardless of her or I'm going to love my kid no matter what. We certainly weren't trying for a baby, but I'm all on board with being a dad. She asked if I'm stupid for having a child with her. I answer that all evidence points to that being the case. I hope I'm not, but again, the odds are not in my favor. She took this even worse. She asked why not just have an abortion? Why subject me to this if I don't have faith in us? I told her that faith isn't easy and trust takes time. I got hope. That's about it right now. That it'll take more time and we are just on the journey. Hopefully, we'll get there together. Amy got quiet and then began sobbing. She left the room and locked herself in her office. I checked on her several times, but she was just crying. Then her mother came to get her, hugged me, and told me she will sort it out. Amy's been in her parents' house for 2 days. I've called. I'm hearing Amy is having second thoughts about the baby. Though we are almost 4 months into the pregnancy. I've come by her house to drop off food I could for her, but Amy cries every time she sees me now. So just give it to her father and leave. I'm being told that it's just hormones and that everything will be okay. Amy's therapist is on vacation, and I can't wait for her to get back. What am I supposed to do here? I'm trying to be honest and supportive. I've had to balance my own feelings and hers for so long now, and now that she's pregnant, and I expected to get over it. Hey, you chose to reconcile, so you can't have those feelings anymore. The situation seems delicate, and I have all the tact of a rampaging elephant. What can I do here? How do I make this one to feel better without lying to her? Do I have to suck it up and pretend I don't have fears or doubts? I do. I'm scared shitless that the next time she's depressed, she'll do something crazy to make herself feel better. I also have the nagging doubts in my head given how most of these stories have ended on Reddit. I'm not ready to throw in the towel. I made my decision. I am reconciling and we're having a baby. We're staying married and I do love this woman with all my heart. But I do not trust her with that heart. I just need some advice on how to navigate these emotions. Our first bit of advice comes from Cranach. You and her need to accept the reality you're living in now and need to think about your expectations because what she did changed everything. Trust can be restored, but it will never again be like it was before. Reason for that is that she showed you what she's capable of. What she's capable of is a part of her that you were not aware of before, but that you are aware of now. That she's capable of doing that doesn't mean that she will do it again, but she is capable of doing it again. So even if she does everything right, you will always be aware of what she is capable of. Because of that, you can't give her the same trust again like you did before. You need to protect yourself. When you gave her all of your trust before, you put yourself into a position where she could hurt you like no one else could, which she did. You can trust her again, but it will be on a level where you don't make yourself so extremely vulnerable again. You and her both need to accept that and adjust your expectations accordingly. Their marriage can still be beautiful, but it will be a different kind of beautiful. But different doesn't need to be bad. But as long as your or her expectations are to get back what you had before, you both will only find disappointment. You learn what she's capable of and need to take that into consideration. Talk about your expectations. Find out if they can be realistically achieved and if you both can find happiness in them. If the answer is no, then find out if you can adjust your expectations. I wish you all the best on your way forward. The OP replies, "You always have the most measured and unbiased opinions, man. Thank you." Most people answer these questions from a place of hurt, expectation, or outrage. It's not helpful. It never is. I've made the decision to reconcile, and so far, I haven't regretted it. But everyone acts like every bump of the road is a sign the damn sky is falling. It's starting to get a little nerve-wracking. Like, I want to hold on to my anger and my outrage, but it's hard in the face of folks who want her to be representative of their past trauma or their situation. She is not. People are people, and they are all different. Will this work? Who the F knows? But you know what? You get the same dang odds of it working out with a relationship without an infidelity issue as one with one. But the only difference now is I'm aware of that, and that awareness causes friction. I'm A, not going to let my wife off the hook for what she did do. B, I'm not going to drive myself in a tizzy about what she could have done. And C, I'm not going to pretend like the bad washes away the good and vice versa. We are not at a blank slate, but we are like at the beginning of a new thing. The old thing is dead and gone, and I'm working on this new thing. My peace of mind, as someone else stated, will never be the same. And not just because of her. She's a huge thing. But you've been following me. You know for a fact Amy isn't the most of my trust issues, and I'm more about people in general. People I loved and trusted, protected and defended. My childhood abuser hid his actions. My design team did some betraying things. I'm running into more racists in my industry than I ever thought. My trust for anyone is freaking low. She's part of that, but not the whole. And I know walking away from her right now would be me trying to fix a general issue by doing whatever small thing I can do right now. Like hitting some kid at school because you can't fight your parents who mistreat you. Yeah, the kid may have hit you first, or may have made fun of you, or deserve some kind of retribution. But to take all that out on them would be unwise and unfair. I wish I was the type of person to make a rash decision, but I doubt I'd be happy right now or have peace of mind if I did. Bun Association 8963 says, "Nailed it." The OP responds, "I don't think this is the case, but I'm hoping it isn't. She's been pretty good about admitting her faults and mistakes in all this. My issue is, despite doing everything right, I still don't fully trust her. Nor do I think I ever will again.